Okay, let's unpack this. Um, there's a lot of talk about power options these days, right?
Yeah.
Especially when the grid decides to take an unscheduled nap, or, maybe you're planning that cool off-grid adventure.
Yeah.
But these terms, power inverter and generator, they get tossed around, often interchangeably, and honestly, it can be pretty confusing figuring out what's what.
It absolutely can be.
Yeah.
And while both ultimately aim to put electricity in your hands when the main grid isn't cooperating, the way they actually do that is fundamentally different.
Right.
And understanding those distinctions is, well, it's not just academic. It's absolutely key to making the right informed choice for your specific needs.
Exactly. So today we're taking a deep dive into your sources to really cut through that noise, our mission, to reveal the truly important nuggets of knowledge, stuff that'll make you feel confident, whether you're battling a blackout, powering a remote cabin, or just camping. We're going to clearly distinguish between traditional generators, inverter generators, and, standalone power inverters.
What's the plan?
So to really get to the heart of it, let's untangle the terminology first, because I think this is often where the initial confusion really sets in.
It's a great place to start, definitely. So when we talk about a traditional generator, sometimes called a conventional generator, imagine an engine, usually running on gasoline or diesel.
Okay.
This engine spins an alternator, does it at a constant, pretty high speed to directly produce AC that's alternating current, power. It's robust, it's straightforward, and it's been the backbone of backup power for a long, long time.
Got it. The workhorse.
Exactly. Now, the term power inverter, in its sort of most general sense, simply refers to a device that takes direct current DC power, like what you get from a battery or maybe a solar panel, and it converts it into usable AC power.
Okay, so it's a converter, not a creator of power itself.
Precisely. Crucially, a standalone inverter doesn't generate power itself. It just transforms existing DC into AC.
Right.
But here's where it often gets tricky in these portable power discussions. When you hear power inverter, people are often actually talking about an inverter generator.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this is a clever hybrid that combines a fuel-powered engine, like the traditional one, but with that inverter technology we just mentioned. So it takes the engine's raw power, processes it digitally, and then outputs really clean, stable AC power.
Interesting. So it's like the best of both worlds almost.
In some ways, yeah. And finally, we have the standalone power inverter, which is usually part of a battery-based system. This device is purely about converting stored DC power from a battery bank, maybe solar panels, into AC.
No engine.
No engine involved here at all. It relies entirely on externally charged energy.
Okay, so let me just rephrase that just for clarity, because I think this is where the confusion often lives. Essentially, we're looking at two big power-producing categories today. And within one, there's this clever subcategory. So first, anything that burns fuel, that's your muscle-bound traditional generator, and its smarter, more refined cousin, the inverter generator. And second, anything that runs purely on stored battery power, which we're calling the standalone power inverter. Breaking it down like that already makes it feel much clearer, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Those are our three main players. And yeah, understanding their unique characteristics is what empowers you to make the right call for your situation.
That's a vital distinction. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think, because these differences aren't just technical specs on a sheet. They directly impact what you can safely power and, frankly, how you experience using your backup energy.
Precisely. Let's delve into those distinctions, starting with maybe the most crucial one, the fundamental way they work and the quality of power they produce. This is super important for anything with a delicate microchip inside.
Yeah, let's start there. The how they work bit and why it matters for, say, your expensive electronics. Imagine you're in a blackout and you just want to keep your smart fridge humming and maybe charge your laptop.
Okay, well, with a traditional generator, that engine we mentioned runs at a constant high speed, like, say, 3,600 RPM to generate that AC power directly. The output from this process, it's often called dirty power. Our sources indicate it can have between 5%, maybe even up to 20% total harmonic distortion, or THD.
Whoa, that sounds high.
It can be. Think of it like a bumpy, unpaved road for your electricity. Not smooth at all.
Okay.
And the real insight here, this dirty power is a significant point because it can potentially damage sensitive electronics.
Like what exactly?
Well, we're talking about things like your laptops, smartphones, modern appliances with intricate circuit boards, or even critical medical devices. Those voltage fluctuations can really mess with them. This raises an important question then. If someone only has a traditional generator, Is there any way to mitigate that dirty power risk for, say, their smart fridge? Or is it genuinely a deal breaker for anything with a delicate motherboard?
That's a really good question, actually, given how much tech we rely on now. Is there a workaround?
Honestly, for most sensitive electronics, it's a genuine risk. While, surge protectors offer some defense, they primarily guard against voltage spikes, not the continuous sort of unevenness of dirty power.
Ah.
The safest bet is often just to avoid plugging sensitive gear directly into a traditional generator if you can help it.
Right.
Now, an inverter generator works differently.
Right.
Its engine still makes power, sure, but then it's run through like a digital scrubber. That's the inverter technology, which refines that raw energy into incredibly stable grid-like power.
Ah, okay.
Think of it as taking that bumpy dirt road and paving it into a super smooth highway for your electronics.
Nice analogy.
And a key advantage here is that the engine speed actually adjusts to the power demand.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always running at full throttle, which is more efficient too.
Okay.
This whole process produces what we call clean power, usually with less than 3% THD. That makes it safe for basically all sensitive electronics.
Much better. And the standalone?
The standalone power inverter, on the other hand, converts stored DC power from batteries or solar directly into AC. This usually results in very clean, stable power. Inherently safe for all your sensitive devices, really. Though the ultimate output quality can depend a bit on the quality of the inverter itself.
Wow. So that constant engine speed in a traditional generator isn't just about noise? It could actually be actively sabotaging our electronics. That's kind of a huge revelation.
It can be, yeah.
So the core insight here seems to be thinking your traditional generator is a catch-all solution for a blackout could actually cost you more in fried gadgets than it saves. Not all power is created equal, and for sensitive tech, it's a critical differentiator.
Absolutely critical.
Okay, that's a vital point about protecting our expensive electronics. But once you've got your sensitive devices covered, what about your ears? And maybe your neighbor's ears? Because as anyone who's been near one knows, some of these powerhouses aren't exactly shy about making their presence known.
They certainly are not. A traditional generator is, well, notoriously loud, typically operating somewhere between 60 to 90 decibels.
And what does that mean in real terms?
To give you a reference point, that's comparable to the noise level of a lawnmower running constantly.
Oof.
Yeah, which can be quite disruptive for residential use, or, if you're trying to find some peace and quiet while camping. Imagine your quiet weekend escape, just constantly punctuated by that drone. Not relaxing.
Definitely not.
In stark contrast, an inverter generator is significantly quieter, usually in the 50 to 60 decibel range.
Okay, and that sounds like...
That's more like a normal conversation level, or maybe a quiet window air conditioner.
Big difference.
Huge difference. This makes them much more suitable for use in neighborhoods, definitely campgrounds, or for RVs, where noise can be a major consideration both for you and your neighbors.
Yeah.
It means you can actually, relax without feeling like you're on a construction site.
Yeah, enjoy the quiet.
Exactly. And then a standalone power inverter wins the prize for silence. It's completely silent in operation. Maybe a faint electronic hum sometimes, but basically silent.
Wow.
This makes it ideal for indoor use, assuming you have the battery setup handled safely or in any noise-sensitive environments where even a low hum would be too much.
So like inside a van or cabin?
Potentially, yeah. And the really striking thing about this is that silence isn't just about comfort. It's about being able to use these devices in more varied environments without disturbing others or needing to place them really far away and run super long extension cords.
Yeah, the difference between a lawnmower and a quiet conversation for hours on end is just night and day. That makes a huge practical difference, not just for your sanity, but for where you can actually deploy these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so from sound, let's move to how much grunt they actually have, power output, and how easy they are to haul around, portability.
Right. Power output and portability. These are key practical considerations that really define how you use them. Traditional generators generally offer the highest wattage.
The big boys.
Yeah, often up to 20 kilowatts or even more in larger models. They're the brute force option, really built for heavy loads like powering maybe an entire home central AC unit, an electric stove, or heavy-duty tools on a job site.
Makes sense.
However, that power comes with considerable size and weight. They're typically bulky, heavier. Mid-sized units can weigh anywhere from 100 to over 300 pounds.
Whoa. Not exactly grab and go.
Definitely not. They often need help or built-in wheels just to move them around. Now, inverter generators, while still powerful, typically range from maybe 1 kilowatt up to around 10 kilowatts.
Okay.
They offer that stable output we talked about, and importantly, you can often parallel 2 units together, link them up to achieve higher power output if needed.
Oh, interesting. So you can kind of scale it up.
Exactly. You can essentially double your juice without necessarily doubling your footprint in the same way. And they're generally much lighter and more compact, usually weighing between, say, 20 to 100 pounds.
Much more manageable.
Yeah, it makes them much easier to transport for things like camping, tailgating, or just moving them from the garage out to the patio during an outage.
Right. And the silent ones, the standalone inverters.
The standalone power inverter varies widely in output. Could be a few hundred watts, could be up to 5 kilowatts or even more. But its continuous power is ultimately limited by its battery capacity.
Ah, the battery is the bottleneck.
It is. These are the champions of portability, though. They can range from small handheld devices up to suitcase-sized units. Very lightweight, usually. But of course, they require those external batteries or solar panels to function, which does add to the overall system's footprint and weight, depending on how much battery you need.
Gotcha. So we've got the unshakable brute force, the flexible middle ground that you can beef up with a friend, and the ultra-portable silent partner. That gives you a really clear mental image of where each one excels.
Yeah, I think so.
But okay, beyond the initial burst of power, what about how long they run and, their footprint on the planet? This gets into long-term sustainability and just practicality.
But this brings us to fuel efficiency, runtime, and environmental impact. Something that's definitely becoming increasingly important for a lot of people.
For sure.
So a traditional generator is generally less fuel efficient. That's because its engine runs at that constant high speed, regardless of the actual power demand.
Even if you're just charging a phone.
Exactly. Even under light loads, it's just chugging away. This means it's literally wasting fuel, sometimes operating at only around 40% efficiency, maybe even less. And this inefficiency also leads directly to higher emissions. More carbon monoxide, more noise pollution, and just overall fuel waste. And remember, these units must be operated outdoors, at least 20 feet away from any structure because of that carbon monoxide risk.
Critical point. And runtime.
A typical runtime for a tank of fuel might be somewhere around 8 to 12 hours, depending on the size and the load.
Okay, so it's not just about saving money at the pump, right? It's about extending your critical power supply in an emergency or enjoying longer, uninterrupted peace on a camping trip without constantly worrying about finding more fuel. Are there hidden costs to that inefficiency?
Absolutely. The hidden cost isn't just the extra fuel money, though that adds up. It's the added stress of managing that fuel supply during a long outage, or, the environmental impact of burning more fossil fuels than necessary.
Makes sense. What about the inverter generator, then?
An inverter generator, on the other hand, is significantly more efficient because its engine speed adjusts precisely to the load.
Right, it throttles down.
Exactly. It consumes less fuel, could be up to 40-50% less fuel than a traditional generator for the same output under varying loads.
That's huge.
It really is.
Yeah.
This also leads to lower emissions, although, importantly, it's still a fuel-based option. It still produces carbon monoxide and requires proper ventilation for safety.
Still needs to be outside.
Absolutely. But thanks to that efficiency, you can expect much longer run times, often 8 to 20 plus hours on a single tank.
Nice. More power, less fuel stops.
You got it. Now, the standalone power inverter stands completely apart here. It requires no fuel at all. Zero.
The dream.
Well, its runtime is often described as potentially infinite if you have consistent solar recharging. Practically, of course, it depends heavily on your battery capacity and how much power you're actually drawing.
Right, solar needs sun.
Exactly. If it is solar-powered, it produces zero emissions during operation, making it the cleanest and most eco-friendly option by far. Runtime can vary wildly, a few hours to 24-plus hours, depending entirely on the battery size and whether you have continuous solar input, which is obviously weather-dependent. The really striking thing here is that trade-off. While the fuel-based options, especially the inverter generator, offer longer, more predictable continuous power right now, the standalone inverter offers a glimpse into true energy independence and significant environmental benefits, assuming you have consistent access to charging, like good sun for solar.
That really highlights the different philosophies behind these options, doesn't it? Moving from just brute force burning to a more thoughtful, potentially sustainable approach.
It really does.
Okay, let's talk brass tacks then. What's the financial commitment? Upfront cost and maybe overtime.
Yeah, cost is always a major factor, and you're right, it's not just the sticker price. A traditional generator is generally cheaper upfront.
How cheap are we talking?
Well, a typical 2 to 10 kilowatt model might cost you anywhere from, say, $300 up to maybe $2,000.
Okay, pretty wide range.
It is. It has simpler mechanics, which can mean lower initial maintenance for basic units, but it still requires regular upkeep, oil changes, fuel stabilizer, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And ironically, some more complex, feature-rich traditional models can actually be prone to breakdowns too.
Interesting. What about the inverter types?
An inverter generator is typically more expensive up front. You're probably looking at $500 to over $3,000 for similar output compared to a traditional one.
So a definite step up in price.
Yes. And the added electronics, that sophisticated inverter board, mean potentially higher repair costs down the line if something goes wrong. Those boards can be quite costly to replace.
Good to know. And the battery ones?
For a standalone power inverter, the inverter unit itself can range from maybe $100 for a basic small one up to $1,500 or more for higher capacity. But that's often plus the significant cost of the batteries.
Right, the batteries aren't cheap.
Not usually, especially for large capacity. And any solar panels you might need to make it self-sufficient add to that initial cost too.
Yeah.
Now, while they have very low operational maintenance, no oil changes, no fuel, the batteries themselves do degrade over time. They typically last maybe 2 to 10 years, depending on the type and how you use them, and they will eventually need replacing. So that battery replacement is a definite ongoing cost to factor into the total cost of ownership.
Okay. So it's not just the initial price tag, but you really have to consider the hidden costs of fuel for the generators or the inevitable replacement of batteries down the line for the inverter systems. That's a critical perspective.
Absolutely. Total cost of ownership is key.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, when you're actually standing there, maybe online or in the store, trying to decide which one to actually get? It feels like each one has a very specific sweet spot, a job it's best suited for.
They absolutely do. Let's try and synthesize those best use cases and the main drawbacks now so you can clearly see which tool fits which job.
Perfect. Let's start with the old faithful, the traditional generator.
Okay, for the traditional generator, its best use is really for heavy-duty, high-power needs. Think construction sites, running power tools in a workshop, or maybe emergency whole-home backup, where you absolutely need to run multiple large appliances like a central AC unit, a big fridge, maybe a well pump, power tools, all simultaneously.
Got it. Power first, finesse second.
Pretty much. The drawbacks are significant, though.
Yeah.
They're noisy, they're less fuel efficient, they produce that dirty power that can potentially damage sensitive electronics, and yeah, you've got higher ongoing fuel costs.
Okay. Now, the inverter generator.
The smarter cousin.
The inverter generator is your versatile middle ground. It's really best suited for activities like camping, RV trips, definitely providing home backup for just the essentials. Think your fridge, lights, maybe the modem, charging electronics during an outage, or for things like tailgating events.
Right where noise matters. Exactly. Its quiet operation and clean power make it ideal for sensitive gear in environments where noise is a big concern. The main drawbacks. Well, that higher upfront cost we mentioned, a generally more limited maximum power output compared to the big traditional generators, and potentially more complex and costly repairs because of those sophisticated electronics.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, the standalone power inverter system.
Right, the standalone power inverter with its batteries is your go-to for situations where silence, portability, and clean power are absolutely paramount.
Like what?
This includes short-term backup for crucial small devices like phones and laptops, maybe powering some lights in an off-grid cabin, or being part of a larger solar setup. It's excellent for eco-conscious users or for emergencies where a completely silent power source is really key.
But what are the catches?
Its main drawbacks are its limited power capacity without investing in very large, heavy, and expensive battery banks. Also, slower recharge times compared to just refueling a generator, unless you have fantastic sun for solar. And it's generally not designed for sustained high-power demands. You're probably not running your central air off it. So it's not really a full generator replacement for extended heavy-use scenarios.
That paints a really clear picture. Thanks. And a really important point that came up in your sources, just to reiterate, any fuel-based option, whether it's a traditional or an inverter generator, absolutely requires safe outdoor operation to avoid carbon monoxide risks.
Crucial. Non-negotiable.
Seriously, always ensure proper ventilation, keep it far from windows and doors, and it's incredibly smart, as you said, to look for models that include CO shutoff features for that extra layer of safety. That's just vital.
It absolutely is. Critical safety reminder. And, it's worth noting, too, For those whose needs might involve solar integration, there's also the growing option of considering hybrid systems. Things like portable power stations that have batteries and built-in solar charging capabilities.
Ah, like those all-in-one units.
Exactly. Those can sometimes offer the best of both worlds, combining the immediate, silent power of a battery-based system with the renewable charging potential of solar, giving you some real flexibility.
Interesting. Something else to consider. Well, you've heard it here. We've really tried to break down the nuances of traditional generators, inverter generators, and standalone power inverters today.
Yeah, hopefully that helped clear things up.
I think so. You should now have the insights to choose the right tool for your specific power needs, whether you're battling a blackout, heading off grid, or just want to keep your sensitive electronics safe and sound. Hopefully, no more guessing.
Indeed. And, this raises an interesting question for you to maybe ponder going forward. Given the rapid advancements we're seeing in battery technology and renewable energy, how might these distinctions and maybe your own personal power needs shift even further in the coming years? What's the next big leap going to be in personal power generation and storage?
Good question for the future. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into generators and power inverters. We really hope this helps you feel well-informed and empowered to make the best choice for you.